Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got the on-track series video for the tier 10 Russian heavy tank, the Obj 705a. Now if you've not seen the on-track series before, it's where we just show you a couple of aces in the tanks that precede the Obj 705a from tier 5 upwards, show you what I do to equip them, and crews, etc., and just show you generally how they handle, so that you get a bit of a lucky-loo at the line if you're deciding whether you want to grind them or not. And the 705a line is actually pretty decent. It was buffed in the Blitzkrieg Reforged Legends one that they did, which was the one that set off the whole Tanks Reforged thing. It was quite a while ago. It was like well over a year ago, year and a half ago now, something like that. It was a long time ago when they actually buffed this line, and they, ended up buffing the tier 8, 9, and 10 pretty much. And then they did also a Soviet gun reforge, which basically buffed some of the stock grinds, removed some of the double guns that they had, because some of them had, like the tier 7 IS had the D25T and then a D25T, which the difference was like a little bit of DPM and accuracy, etc. So, yeah, the line's been reforged, had its little buffs and stuff. And on the whole, it's a pretty decent line, because, the tier 10's great. Well, the tier 10's pretty good, and I really do enjoy the tank. The tier 9's pretty solid. It's got two choices of guns that it can use. The tier 8, I've already done a video on the ISM in the past. Like I say, I think it's pretty decent. Its main problem is that it's got really good frontal armor until it faces tier 9s and 10s, when the armor becomes meaningless, unless it's side scraping, in which that's the theme of the line in general, is that side scraping is absolutely fantastic, and yeah, you'll see when you get there. But we are starting off with the tier 5. Let's talk about the KV-1S. The KV-1S, the KV-1 Sport. It's a KV-1 that's a little bit quicker, has this beautiful 122mm derp gun that you're seeing right now. It's got that great, that 60 odd or 53 HE pen, sorry, with a heat round that's got 140 pen that is absolutely filthy. And with that sort of pen on the heat round, you can really do some mega damage, really, with this derp gun. It's so much fun to play. I really like the KV-1S. I think it's a really solid tank. The mobility mixed with the derp gun, etc., is just really nice. And in terms of a crew on this tank, and the whole line in general, is Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Trap Mechanic, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun, Off-Road Driving. Off-Road Driving to make the ground resistances as good as possible, to help the mobility of these tanks as good as possible. Oh, goodbye, Panzer 3J. And, yeah, the gun perks, because, well, they're Soviet, right? They're all Soviet. The gun handling on these tanks is not very good. And how did I not die there? Anyway, yeah, the gun handling on these tanks is not that great, naturally, because they're all Soviet. And you want to help that as much as possible, just as much as humanly possible, and put all the gun perks on and help it. And because this whole line does a lot of side scraping, you're naturally going to get tracked quite a lot as well. So having Trap Mechanic and be able to get your tracks back on quicker is always nice, because obviously someone shoots you while you're side scraping, they track you, it means you can't pull out to get a shot on them while, they're reloading, essentially. And in terms of a crew on the KV-1S, I run Rammer, GLD, and Optics. I run the GLD because the aim time on the derp gun is naturally very, very bad, because it's a derp gun. So I want to help that out as much as humanly possible to get that aim time down. Optics to be able to spot for myself, because it's blind as a bat, because it is a KV-1S. All the KV-1s are pretty damn blind, and I want to help that out. And the Rammer to make my DPM just a little bit better, just make my reload just a little bit better. So far in this game, we've managed 1,300 damage to 125 assistance. We've got 5 kills for that 1,300 damage. We've managed to one-shot quite a few people, or just get there and kill them. This is where the heat is so lovely, right? It's like, hello, Mr. KV-1. Oh dear, that was a shot of heat, 140 pen straight through his side, sets him on fire, and gives me the top gun, which is absolutely beautiful. Can we secure another kill? We aim the shot, give it lead, straight into the side of the captured KV-1. That's the 7th kill of the game. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness me, I could get a Radley Walters. No, we capped. Sad times, but we finished the game with that 2,000 damage, 125 assistance, and 7 kills. With the epic victory, top of the team, which is a nice time for the KV-1S. The Devastator, Pascucci's Top Gun, High Caliber, Ace Tanker, 1,594 base XP. A pretty decent game for the KV-1S. It is a meme tank to play when you are top tier, and even when you're against tier 6s, to be honest, because even against tier 6s, that 140 pen heat it's still pretty dirty. You're still slapping them for quite a lot of damage. Naturally, though, the KV-1S doesn't have that much armour as a heavy tank. It tends to get penned quite a lot. It's just one of those peekaboom type of tanks with that 122. Now you're onto the KV-85. And the KV-85 depends on how you set it up. It has a hero skin, as you see him, which is pretty cool. And yeah, you get a choice of 2 guns again. You get a choice of 2 guns. You've got this 122mm gun, which is really nice for just the alpha at tier 6. And then you get a 100mm gun. So you get a choice between derpiness and high alpha, or essentially sort of reliability and DPM. That's what you get with the 100mm. I can't get on with the 100mm gun. And that's because this tank has a fatal flaw for me. And that's 3 degrees of gun depression. The 3 degrees of gun depression that this tank gets is naturally absolutely disgusting. It really struggles to get the gun on target a hell of a lot, and in so many positions. I just wish this tank had 5 degrees of gun depression, just simply 5. And then, you know, you'd be able to equally be able to fight people on ridge lines a little bit, because at the minute this tank is basically hit a bump, lose all gun depression, cry, and then they pen you as well, because naturally this tank has no armor either. Even for tier 6 against tier 6s against side scraping, you can do pretty well, which is again a nice factor for all Soviet tanks. To be fair, you can side scrape pretty decently in it, but block some decent shells here and there. But yeah, that gun depression just struggles so badly, and it's just that 3 degrees on both this and the 100mm that makes me take this gun, because I feel like if I'm going to take the chance of taking a hit and poke out to shoot someone with 3 degrees of gun depression, I want to at least hurt them. I want them to feel the shot. While the DPM is nice, it means I have to keep exposing myself more and more and more, and I'd rather have it so that I just have to shoot them once and do 390 alpha. Although we're not showing that off quite well here, because we're not penning this Oni, but we are firing premium with the 217 APCR pen, and we can go through his lower plate. And like I say, that's the nice thing. This 120mm gun has, or 122mm gun, has 175 pen on the standard, with 217 on the premium. Whereas the 100mm has 170 on the standard and 210 on the premium. So you get a little bit more on the premium as well. For me, I prefer the ability to slap. That's just me, though. I do run rammer, GLD, and optics again. Rammer to make my DPM, because this gun does reload for a long time. So I do run the rammer to make my DPM as good as possible. GLD to make my aim time better as well, because the aim time is pretty bad. And optics to be able to spot for myself again, because you are pretty damn blind, and I want to be able to at least not get outspotted by tier 6 heavies, let alone tier 5, right? It's not got, or even tier 7 heavies, sorry. You just don't really have the view range, and I want to help it out as much as possible, and that's the same crew as the one I showed you in the previous replay. If you were to run the 100mm gun, I'd probably say you're going to drop the GLD for maybe vents or traction system to make yourself quicker. Either one, because it is a pretty mobile tank, but it's totally up to you. So in this game so far, our mines, we're up to 2k damage, and we're kind of dealing with this a little bit awkwardly. We are capping at the minute, and I thought, you know what, if we're capping, I'm going to push this Oni and try and get some shots off and kill him, and then try and spot what's camping at the back. And we did spot the Hellcat, and now, oh no, that's not good. We end up not killing the Oni there, and I'm thinking, oh god, I'm going to die. Fortunately, he's not using the 150, which means he doesn't, you know, he has to pen me to kill me. And we just get so fortunate not to die there. We really do. We've got guys above us, and I'm kind of thinking, go on then, dive on me. Dive on me. Go for the meme, my friend. I'm just going to sell it and try and see if I can do it, but he's not quite falling for it. We have a broken gun because we did take a hit on that from the artillery. The artillery is non-stop firing at us here, which is really awkward because it's like, I can't stay still. The Hellcat finally gets spotted and we shut him down. The repair kit comes back in, so we get the gun back into operation because it's absolutely atrocious when it's not. And then one of our guys actually leaves the cap. And it was like, okay, we were about to win by cap, but it's not quite happening anymore. We spot the Lefeur. It's like, hello, Lefay. goodbye, my friend. We get rid of that, and we're up to 2.8k damage. And unfortunately, the heavy tank that was in the cap that left it is now dead. And it's not looking too good. I'm just looking to see if we can get a shot at the M12, but I can't quite see him. It's like, right, okay, I'm going to have to go back. I do have to be careful, though, because the T-34-85 is above me. That means I have to hug this side. Oh, God, there he is. Okay, goodbye. No worries. I don't have to think about that anymore. The RBRT shuts down the T-34-85M. That's pretty good. With 24 seconds out from capping, it's like, we can still win this. We've got this. This TD's got it. The other T-34-85M's coming. And then another tank appears behind us. It's a Talon. I RBRT and miss. He RBRT and misses. And it's like, well, this is awkward, isn't it? Well, I think I'm probably going to reload just before this Talon, maybe. And it's like, yeah, we got him. We got him. That's the main thing. 5 kills. Unfortunately, the T-34-85 gets in to shut down our tank destroyer, though, that was capping. And now we're a one-shot for the T-34-85M. And this is just awkward, right? He should realistically just go, I can take the hit and just drive around and kill me. But he's not doing it. He's playing a bit more carefully, and I'm just trying to see if I can get one more shot before I go down. He gives me that weird shot at his lower plate, and I don't know why I took it. Bad decision, really. And yeah, we shouldn't have fired there, and we get shut down. Well, unfortunately, we finished the game with the defeat. 5 kills, ace tanker, the high caliber. 1,266 base XP on a loss, which is pretty good. 3,337 damage and 527 assistance. Shame that we couldn't win that game, but it is what it is. Shows you what the KB85 is like. It's a bit awkward because of that gun depression in general, but if you can keep that 122mm gun singing, you can rack up damage pretty quickly, and having that 390 alpha at tier 6 is pretty damn nice. And it's not something you tend to have that much at tier 6, so having that sort of stopping power, especially when you're top tier, is great. It's got good mobility, but its downside, its big downside, is that just the fact it's got no real armour and the 3 degrees of gun depression. I absolutely hate that tank just because of that 3 degrees of gun depression. It's horrible. But now we're on to the tier 7, the classic, the IS, and it is the classic. And it's a pretty damn fun tank. I have only one true issue with the IS, and that is that well, apart from the fact it's tech tree, right? And I've ground through it a long time ago and already 3-marked it, and I have the other, the IS-2M and the IS-2 Berlin that do exactly the same thing. It's not just that, and, you know, they make credits. Not just that. The IS-2 Chinese tank exists. That one right there, that exists. And it's basically the same tank, bit worse dispersions, but it's got 250 heat pen. And 250 heat pen on that tank is really, really goddamn nice for facing, for when you're bottom tier and you're facing higher tier opponents. And that's just a really nice factor. The 217 APCR pen that this tank gets is definitely nice with this 122, but it's not the 250 for facing tier 9s. Realistically. I mean, this tank is, well, another one that you could probably run the 100mm as well, because the 100mm on this tank has way better DPM and better accuracy. You could definitely do that. It's definitely very, very viable, but I'm an alpha whore and I like the alpha, and I think it gives this tank some character having that 390 alpha. In terms of equipment, again, I tend to run, it's a bit of a mix, right, because you could run the GLD to be able to get better aim time if you want to. But I tend to run rammer, vents, and optics. Rammer, vents, and optics to be able to get everything as good as possible. The view range as high as possible, the gun handling as good as possible, just everything as good as possible. And the same crew, like I say, that I showed in the first replay. And so far in this game, we've got 1,500 damage, which is not much. So make that 1,700 damage. But we've got a top gun. We're already on a top gun, and most of their team is still alive. In fact, we're the only one to kill anything so far. And we've pushed pretty aggressively on Pilsen, and we've cut off this, well, we basically cut the 244 and this IS off, so we can keep getting some lovely little shots in. And another shot that flies true. You do have to be careful with this gun, because this gun is derpy. Like I said, the whole line, the guns are pretty derpy, the Soviet. But if you fully aim the shots and lead it well, you can still hit most of the targets. And this ARL is here, and I'm thinking, oh, it's an ARL, that's an easy kill, I want my 7th kill. We bounce, and then we get set on fire. And I'm thinking, no! And then he bounces, thank the Lord. And I'm a little bit triggered, so I auto-aim and fire and bounce again at the ARL because I should have just aimed it. What an idiot. But we're going to make it as hard as possible for him to hit us by wiggling. Fortunately enough, he misses and we reload in time. Now we've got his dead wreck in front of us to save us from the AMX 7445. We made such a hash of that. And fortunately, the AMX 7445 hits the dead wreck of the ARL. Just waiting for the reload. He fires again and bounces on this guy, so we get the shot in to shut him down. We're on to Radley Walters. 8 kills. 8 whole kills. We made such a hash of that fight. That is just crazy. Stupid. We're looking for the shot onto the T-34. Can't quite find it. Fortunately enough, the IS that set us on fire, who I didn't think was going to fire at me, I thought he was just going to keep going down the G-line, which is why I sort of ignored him. We managed to shut him down. And, yeah, we made a right mess of that. We could be on so many more hit points here, and we could play a little bit more aggressively. But it is what it is. We're on to 9 kills for that shot on the IS. We know where the artillery is. We've just seen him. We just fired. We get aim, aim, aim. And it's like, oh, God, he knows he's spotted. And we shoot the ground. Oh, it's like the pools. It was in grasp. It was within grasp, and we don't quite get it. But there's still 2 guys left. And I'm thinking, well, 3 guys, 3 actual tanks left. I'm thinking, right, I can get into a position to get a shot onto this T-34 or this other guy. I can possibly get that Pools medal. We'll try and pop a shot at the SU-122A there to try and get that snapshot in because I didn't want to sit still and give him a free shot. But it doesn't go anywhere near. We're still detected, though. And I actually thought, because they killed the T-34, and I actually thought this 45 TP was going to die, but they didn't finish him off. So we aimed the shot. Where did that shell go? Okay. The shell just got eaten by the wall. And as you can see right here, it's like, why? My Pools medal! Where is my Pools medal? Why did that only track him? Oh, Pools medal! Oh, there we go. 10 kills. That secures my 13th Pools medal in this game. Oh, thank God. There's so many times when you hit 9 kills and then shots like that shot on the 45 TP just go nowhere near. You sit there going, I could have had a Pools medal as the game ends. So thankfully we managed to secure that, shut down that 45 TP, get the 10th kill. We loaded Haiti to try and conserve our ammunition to try and find this other TD, shut down the artillery, and we're on 11 kills with 3.8k damage. And it's just a matter of where this other TD is. And the other TD did get spotted. So, well, he was firing at us from down this J-line, so I was thinking maybe he's somewhere around here. And he's actually spotted just on the left. So it's quite lucky we came round this way. We get a nice shot into him there, and he gets shut down by the Chi-Nu. And we finished the game with a really nice total of damage and a great kill total. We finished with the victory. 11 kills, 4.1k damage, a bit of assistance. Pascucci's, Devastator, Pools medal, Top Gun, High Caliber, 2,307 base XP. A really great game for the IS. It's always lovely to get a Pools medal. It's always nice to see that shiny golden medal on my screen. And like I said, that was my 13th one. Since got a 14th on that one as well, which will be coming up at some point in the near future. Fun tank the IS. I've always liked it. Like I say, my only grievance with the IS is the fact that I like the Chinese one because the Chinese one has the heat pen and that gives me a little bit more ability to deal with higher tiers. But the APCR is always nice on the IS as well. So we're on to the tier 8, which is the ISM. And like I say, I've got a video on the ISM separately somewhere on the channel from a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago now. I don't know how far it was. Time is magic and is wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey, right? So yeah, that's a video that you should probably check out on it. The ISM did get buffed, and we'll go through the buffs. It got its premium pen from 240 to 265, which isn't on this buff list you're about to see, which is nice. So that really helps with the premium. And then they buffed all the stock grind, which is great. So it makes it a little bit more bearable when stock, which is lovely, really. Like they buffed the turret armor as well, which it doesn't say. They made the turret armor a little bit better. The turret 2 got its rotation up from 26 to 28. The view range went from 350 to 370, which is massive, by the way, because you go from being completely blind to having just 20 minutes. That 20 meters extra view range makes a massive difference. You can actually spot for yourself decently now, which is nice. You get the stock gun, which gets a better reload and better aim time, which is nice as well. And the top gun went from 12-second reload to 11.2-second reload, and a 3.2 aim time to a 2.9-second aim time. The aim time buff is really nice. It helps you get the gun aimed in quickly enough to get going on the targets you've got in your sights, and that little bit extra DPM is also a little, it's just pretty nice for the tank. On the whole, the buffs for the tank made it just a little bit nicer to play, and it just handles a little bit better in general. And I do, like I say, I do like the ISM. It's a fantastic side scraper, and it's where you want to be. You want to be side scraping with this tank, but the problem with its armor is that it tends to be pretty, well, the lower plate's the lower plate, right? It gets penned by about 210, 220 pen. But the upper plate is pretty strong against tier 8s. But as soon as you get to like that 250, 260 pen mark, they start to just go through your upper plate really quite easily. And that sort of negates your armor a little bit. So if you're caught out in the open, this tank really does start to suffer because of that penetration level. But, like I say, if you get side scraping, you're going to have a great time, just like you will in the tier 9 and 10 as well. So, in this game, we're on vineyards, and so far we spotted the artillery, because the artillery is in a really unorthodox position, to be perfectly honest. And now this Tiger 1's coming in. It's like, hello, Mr. Tiger 1, are you okay? He's coming. Yeah, he's right on, cowboy. He managed to only damage our gun, and it's like, well, don't mind if I do, Tiger 1. You're probably going to struggle to pen me here, unless he fires premium down through our upper plate. He's probably going to struggle to pen me, and that's exactly what's happened. We ended up damaging his ammo rack, face-hugging him, because this is what you want to do, really. If someone comes after you in the ISM, face-hug them, but don't sit still. For the love of God, don't sit still and let them shoot down on your upper plate. Keep wiggling, keep moving. As you saw, he ended up ricocheting off our side as we were wiggling. Keep moving and keep wiggling. Make it as hard as possible for them to get that free shot into your upper plate. Now another contender's come in, a Barask. Unfortunately, the RBRT that we do on this Barask does him dirty, tracks him as he fires, which meant he missed that shot. We get the second shot in, which was aimed for his tracks this time, ends up tracking him and breaking his engine. And, well, unfortunately, he's going to get away. But I'm looking at it because this VK3002M comes in, and I want to help my little tier 6 friend that I'm with. We get a nice shot into him, which actually puts him down to a one-shot for the P43 to shut down. It's not a tier 6, that's the tier 7. And he ends up shutting down the 3002M. That was really weird. The Barask, unfortunately, gets just away from it, but it's like, is he going to get away? Can we back up to find the shot? Yes, we can. Goodbye, Mr. Barask. Those guys all came charging in to try and get us and just didn't work. The ISM managed to hold up pretty well there, which was nice. Like I said, the gun handling changes with the aim time and stuff, and just that little bit better reload really help in situations like that, because obviously naturally you've just got a little bit better DPM to squeeze out as much damage as you can in situations like that. You know, get the enemy tanks out of the way as quick as possible. And then the aim time as well, for shots like on the Barask, it means when you get the gun on target, you don't waste any time, really, in waiting for that gun to be aimed in. That 1375 is currently unloading on someone, and unfortunately, we just didn't aim high enough and that shot missed. But we've got a little bit of a glut of tanks to shoot at. That Minuteman is one thing that I want to get rid of, because, well, Minutemen are very awkward to shoot at because of the side armor. But we were aiming high. And that is always something you do within a Minuteman, and fortunately enough, it was one of those risks, right? We got a nice shot into his ass, which put him down onto a one-shot. And just as he was going up, we aimed as high as we could to hopefully get the shell over the spaced armor and into the engine deck, and that's where the shell went. It was kind of fortunate it does go there, because it could have hit the spaced armor and not penned. We do finish the game with the ace tank of the high caliber. Top of the team, 1831 base XP, 4,500 damage. A nice game for the ISM. As in, get yourself side scraping, get yourself brawling, and this tank will serve you pretty damn well. Naturally, if you're in a tier 9 or a tier 10 game, don't go face hugging Valors and AVREs, for God's sake. It's not going to work. But, you know, if you're top tier, you can do that sort of stuff. But if you just get yourself to an aggressive position, start side scraping, and you're still going to bounce a lot of shells off your side, because it is a really good side scraper. And we're on to the next tank, the tier 9, the Obj 705. This tank has 2 guns that you can choose from. 2 whole guns. You get a 122mm gun, which you can use on the Object 257 as well. And you get the 130mm gun. By the way, don't text and drive, people. Texting and driving kills. And yeah, 130mm gun, that is the IS-7's gun. Now, what you're seeing in this replay, and the gun that I prefer myself, and I think is better, maybe not statistically, but it just feels better to me, is the 130mm gun. Because you got that 490 alpha, it hits hard, it's got better module damage, the pen's nice, it's just an all-round solid gun for me. It's derpier, but I don't know what it is, that 122mm gun just doesn't work for me whatsoever. I really don't enjoy it. I don't like the heat round as the premium. I just prefer the APCR as a premium as well. And I just get on with this gun so much better. I feel like I do far more consistently with it. It's one of those things, I don't really know which one's better. I think statistically, like I say, the 122 is better because it's got the pen on the heat and the better DPM and slightly better, it is better accuracy and aim time and stuff like that. But personally, I just think this is probably a good gun to pick. It's down to personal preference. You have a look at it yourself and you pick yourselves. I would recommend the 130, but a lot of people would probably recommend the 122 as well. So yeah, the Object 705 did get buffed. And what did they buff on the Object 705? Well, on the Object 705, they buffed a lot of the stock stuff, which is pretty nice for it. Again, really helps the grind, makes it less intolerable, essentially. And on the fully upgraded, they buffed the turret rotation speed from 22 to 24, which is, you know, not much, but it's still, you know, it's a little bit quality of life, right? It makes it a little bit nicer. They buffed the 122mm BL13, which is, like I say, the gun that you get on the 257, gave it 11.9 second reload and 2.7 aim time instead of 3.2, which is a hell of a lot nicer for that gun, for sure, and makes that gun great. And on the 130mm, they buffed the accuracy during turret rotation from 0.16 to 0.1, which helps it not bloom out that much. The reload from 15.2 to 14.5, which is quite a big buff to its reload generally, and is really nice. And an aim time from 3.2 to 3 seconds, which again is really great for that gun. It just helps it get the gun down a little bit quicker. As you can see, technically with the 122, with the DPM and the aim time, it's definitely a far better gun. I just like this tank and do consistently well with it. It's completely personal preference. You play with both guns and you choose to decide. So yeah, that's the buffs for the tank, and this tank is a god side scraper. It's so good at side scraping, and if you get it into a really good side scraping position, you can do, you can bounce so much and you can get quite a lot of damage out, which is really nice. In terms of equipment on this tank, same as I do on the ISM. I didn't say it for the ISM. Run rammer, vert stabs, and optics. Vert stabs, like I say, because you want to make the gun as good as humanly possible, because it is derpy. The rammer to make the DPM as good as possible, and optics to be able to spot for myself. So as you can see on this game on Corellia, we've managed to get to this rock here, and we are bouncing quite a lot, because we were hulled down a minute ago, we were bouncing a fair few shots, and now we are side scraping, and this is where this tank wants to be. We're popping the shots out with the APCR because we wanted to go through guaranteed the 268 and stuff, because I didn't want that 268 to be up there and have the health, because if it was to fire heat, it wouldn't matter, he could probably just go straight through the turret front, because he's got like nearly 400 pen on the heat, which is filthy. There is a Taram back there as well, which we're just trying to feather out, but we get another shot nice through the M60. I'm switching back to standard because I don't really need the premium at this point, and I want to kind of save the premium in case I really do need it. And it's just a solid case of reverse, shoot, pull back, side scrape. Give them only my tracks to shoot, give them not really much else to aim for, and just keep pumping out the damage and blocking the shots, as many shots as you can. And try and just keep the support up for this VZ55. So we're just side scraping out, we're just going to see if they poke forward. This T95 FE4201 is trying to get a shot at us. We're looking for a shot at his upper plate, but try and get the shot, the cheeky little shot into the E75's lower plate, but it doesn't go anywhere near, it just ends up tracking the Valor, well, the unskinned Valor. Now the M48A2 120mm was trying to get a shot at the guys in front, but he didn't poke out enough for us to get a shot at him. But he is this time, so we slam a shot into his back end. This is why I like this gun, because it hits so hard. It's so nice to have those 500 rolls all low. I mean, that was like 450, but to have that 450 to 500 roll is so nice. It really helps with the trading, which is why I like it. And now our two guys, the 780 and the VZ, are pushing up on this Valor. And I'm thinking, right, okay, they're pushing up. I'm going to get over here to help now. This side-scraping position is not, well, it's pointless now because they're not poking round. And realistically, if I was just to sit there and stay there, it would be because I'm waiting for my team to die, and then they'd start pushing it, become good again, right? And we don't want to do that. We're up to 4.4k damage with 2.1k assistance, and now we've got some dead wrecks in front of us that we can use to side scrape. We go for a shot into the lower plate of the E75, but unfortunately the 250 pen that we've got just doesn't go through his lower plate at that sort of angle. The 268's coming up. It's like, no, Mr. 268, get out of here. I'm not having that big-ass gun shooting at me. But again, we are side-scraping here, and this is just exactly where this tank wants to be, because it is a god at it. The turret armor is solid. The side armor is solid. And there we go. That's the first shot we eat because we exposed too much of our upper plate, and that Valor is firing premium, which he managed to go through. Because that is the one thing, if you're fighting tanks that have the 310, 320, 330, 340 pen, they probably will go through your upper plate, so it's just something you've got to be aware of. We do manage to get the finish on the Valor, though, which is good. Get rid of that tier 10 heavy. The E75 is just looking at us. It's like, get out of here, Mr. E75. We've only got premium left, so we can shoot it straight through his upper plate at that weird angle. Now, there's only one tank left in this game, and it's the M48 120, and it's like, hello, this is just a shot through your cupola. Visible rage. Thank you, gun. That was really good of you to miss that shot. But we finished the game with a nice total. We finished with the victory. 3 kills, 5.3k damage, 2.1k assistance, 6.6k blocked. Ace tank of the steel wall for that 6.6k blocked. 1952 base XP. Really great game for the Obj 705. Showed exactly what it can do. Get side scraping. Have fun. Be durable. You can bounce a hell of a lot. You can keep pumping out those shots, and you'll have a pretty great time. So we're on to the last tank in the line. I've got 2 replays for you in the Obj 705a. And it's a tank that, since they buffed it, I think it's pretty damn decent. I wouldn't call it exceptional. I wouldn't call it bad. It was pretty balanced, really. I mean, that's probably the way of saying it, right? I think it's a pretty decent tank to play. It hits quite hard. Its mobility is okay for a super heavy tank. Its armor's great for side scraping. Can bounce quite a lot of shots as well. It's a bit of a tinderbox. It does like to get set on fire through the drive wheels and stuff like that, which you've got to be very careful of. Can be a little bit awkward, but you can have a pretty decent set of fun with it. It's got that 650 alpha gun on the 152, sorry, not 105, 152mm gun. And it's actually a pretty decent 152mm gun as well. It is pretty derpy, but for a derpy gun as well, it actually performs pretty well, actually. Except for that shot. Thanks, gun, for proving me wrong. So in terms of the 705a, it did get buffed, and they gave it little bits of love in that Tanks Reforged Blitzkrieg. And they buffed the reload time from 18.1 to 17.5. They buffed the horsepower from 1300 to 1500 and increased the turret rotation from 20 to 24. Which, again, is really great for the turret. Really, really helpful. The better reload is nice as well. It's quite a big DPM buff, which is nice. The engine horsepower, by the way, that extra 200 horsepower is great. It really took the sluggishness away from the 705a and the 705 when they did it, because I think they buffed the engine power a little bit before that as well on that tank. And it really gives it that little bit of oomph it needs just to not be that sluggish, and help it get about the battlefield, which is great for this tank. And like I say, it's one that I didn't really appreciate, to be honest, before I started randomly playing it. And playing it, I was really quite enjoying it. And funnily enough, I didn't really actually see 705As that much. Like, it's one of those tanks that you come across once in a blue moon, and then randomly I started playing the 705A, and it was like, there's more 705As, so there's 3 705As down there. It's like, what's going on? The 705A apocalypse is here. So we're going to go down and deal with these 705As in this game. In terms of equipment, same as the 705, by the way, and the ISM. Rammer, vertstabs, optics, same reasons. Get your V range as high as possible. Get your gun as little derpiness as possible with the vertstabs. Just really help it out. And then rammer to make your DPM as good as possible, as you always will do. So yeah, run Dragon's Ridge. A map that I truly detest. I really don't like Dragon's Ridge whatsoever. I just think it separates the battlefield into two separate fronts. And basically, if your team doesn't go to one of them, you just don't have fun. Pretty much. I just don't like all the hills. I just don't enjoy this map whatsoever. It just seems to be one of those maps that just stales out a bit, and you have people just sitting on ridge lines up top camping a little bit, and there's little spots as well on the map, like for their team at J or K6, which they can just sit on and you won't spot them that well, and they just get to poop on you poop on our team. And then a lot of the time for me as well is that their team my team, if I'm on the southern spawn, just sits at G7 and doesn't move. And that happens all the time, and then you just can't play the map very well. It's just really annoying. It's one of those maps that I just don't like. But if I do spawn on the north and I'm in a heavy tank, I do like to come down here because I can get into a nice hull down fight, and I can just fight in this little section here that we've been fighting in. I can try and get to the position at F7, which can counter anyone that's sitting on the F4, E4 position. And then again, if I can turn around and brawl with the heavy tanks like you saw with the 705As. And I can deal with the other people that do push into that little dip, like you saw with the 257 and the Badger as well. So that 430 comes in to try and start getting shots at my friends in the back. And I'm like, no, Mr. Object 430, we don't allow people to do this. And we basically bully him out of the game, pretty much. We're up to 3.8k damage for 354 assistance. And we're up against ourselves. We're up against another 705A. And it's like, right, okay, we're going to try and get some shots into this guy's lower plate. With our pen, we might struggle to go through the lower plate of ourselves if it angles. And with the weird dips we're going to start shooting at each other through on this map, well, the terrain, basically, is going to cause some weird-ass angles for the lower plates for both of us, realistically. So, realistically, I should be firing heat right now. He's firing heat. I should be firing heat. And that way I'll be going through his lower plate quite easily. But you see there, he fires, and I'm thinking, I'm never going to get anything done in that position. I need to change it up. So I force myself into a position where I'm actually slightly lower than him, which is going to give me opportunities to shoot his lower plate, which is really going to help. We get another shot into his lower plate there, and obviously when he fired and bounced, it gave me the opportunity to get around and shoot him. But we're now on more hit points. He ends up bouncing off us because we get a bit face huggy, and we back off just in time for our reload to be able to get that shot into his lower plate because he made the mistake of thinking I was going to keep following him. And realistically, when I penned that shot, I should have loaded HE because I thought, oh, maybe I can go through the upper plate of the Object 705A with the heat rounds from this tank. Nope, can't do that. And unfortunately, we don't get the kill on the 705A because the E5 shuts him down. Should have loaded HE to shut him down there, but it is what it is. And to save everyone's pain and misery, I'm going to cut this replay to the end because I end up spending another 3 minutes driving to try and get to the other two and get nowhere near. Save you guys the pain and myself. We finished with the victory, 3 kills, 6.1k damage, the ace tanker, 697 base XP, 753 assistance. Really nice game for the 705A. Showed the tank against itself as well, which kind of showed the arm profile a little bit of that tank and how awkward it can be to face those yourself, essentially, how awkward it can be to face the 705A, because the armour can be like just a fairly awkward thing to face because of weird angles, because the lower plate is strong, right? And if it angles, it can be awkward for 260 pen. And then you add in the stuff like those little deviations in the ridges and in the terrain, and that can angle it up and down and make it weaker, and then also make it way stronger. It can be a little bit of an awkward customer at times. If people are firing the 300 pen APCR and stuff like that, it's probably not going to be as difficult to go through, but that's just premium spam in general, right? So we're on to the second and final replay of the video, and we are on Pilsen. Much more of a map for the 705A than Dragon's Ridge. Realistically, perfect map, right? Because we've got lots of flat areas, we've got lots of brawly areas that the heavy tanks love, and lots of places where we can control the engagement. We try and go for a shot on the Dragon. Doesn't quite go anywhere near, but it was a very, very slim pixel shot. We're moving ourselves into a better position to try and get a shot at this guy. We make sure the shot's fully aimed in, and we get the shot into him for 643, which is nice. And he's gone, nope, not doing that now. I'm not staying there. I've been shot by that guy, and bugs out. We poke up to see if there's anyone over here. There's a Yag Tiger, but that Yag Tiger is very hull down, and yeah, we're not going to do anything against the Yag Tiger that's like that. So we decide, okay, that Yag Tiger's there. He's gatekeeping me from staying and poking up in that position. I'm going to go after this Dragon and this light tank, because I don't like them being in this position or down the A line. And sorry, Mr. 257, that was really awkward driving there. The Dragon we can't quite get a shot at. So we're trying to maneuver ourselves into that position to get the shot at him. That shot should never have hit in the universe. That was RNG saying, yeah, here, have the kill. We should never have hit that Dragon then. He just got behind that building. But anyway, we take the kill. We're going after this Rheinmetall Panzerwagen now. Can we get the shot into this guy? He's ducking and dodging, dipping and diving. Unfortunately, we miss because, well, we just ended up pulling back a little bit for some reason. And that gave us a whole ridge line in front of us that meant we couldn't hit that Panzerwagen. But for some reason, he says, here, have another go at shooting me. And we do. Not sure what he was thinking there. Now there's the Death Star poking out. I'm thinking, no, I don't really want that Death Star. But he ends up firing, which means we can pull up and get to the building so we can actually try and side scrape. That T100 LT ends up taking all of the hits. The T41E1 makes a massive mistake. You can see his regret instantly as he full stops. We get a big shot into him. And again, I'm just being very cautious because I don't want to take that big slap from the Death Star, but he fires again. So that makes me think, right, Death Star's fired. I can go now. I'm going to move up. There's another 705A in front of us. Like I say, stop playing the 705A and it just starts appearing everywhere. And yeah, we unfortunately bounce off his lower plate. That's it. Awkward lower plate to pen at times. And with our own pen, sometimes with AP, we're going to struggle. So now we're in the perfect place where we want to be. We're side scraping. He's not. We do slap the shot through his lower plate there. 490, by the way. Woo! That man is running the equipment and the crew skill to reduce damage taken. I'm telling you now. 490 on a 650 Alpha gun. That's it. Yeah, 581. The low roll's starting to roll in against this guy. That's what that damage reduction equipment and perk can do to your rolls. Essentially, can absolutely destroy it. I mean, it might not be. I might just be extremely unlucky. Okay, 707, I might just be extremely unlucky. But that sort of roll, especially if you start to do it very consistently, around that 500 roll, and you're shooting at someone, they're probably running the damage reduction perk. Oh, and unfortunately, that shot on the 705A doesn't go in. But he bounces, or 53 TP misses, or bounces. We're in the perfect place. They're out in the open, and I've got this dead wreck of the Death Star in front of me that can cover me and I can side scrape off of and really accentuates my armor, which is exactly what we want. It's exactly where we want to be. It's perfect for the Russian tank. Now we're going to push the tempo. We're going to push up because we know the machine's firing. The machine's reloading. So I want to try and get up to the next building before he reloads. Unfortunately, we can't get the shot into his back end because we weren't fully aimed and it just ends up missing. But he's still in a place we can get a shot into his ass. He's still giving the ass away. And we don't say no to that. We get a big shot into his back end, which puts us onto 5.1k damage. And I'm sort of looking at it going, am I going to get the ability to kill him? I thought he was going to die. Well, we can overmatch his side and his back end quite easily, so it doesn't really matter about the angle. And we get to shut down the machine. Now we're going to go after this TNH VZ51 because we are still healthy. And I don't care. At this point, I've still got so many hit points, although we end up taking a hit from the Yag Tiger, that I'm quite happy to push quite aggressively into more aggressive positions at this point in time. So I can try and advance my game and try and make as good a game as possible. We end up spotting the artillery as we're coming over, and we get a nice shot into him. And I'm just keeping my turret facing forward in case the TNH ends up coming, which he does, so I was ready to fire at him. He comes over, fires one in, we get to shut him down. I'm not quite sure what he was doing there. He could have stayed hull down and done that, but hey-ho. Now we're waiting for the reload so that we can get a shot into this artillery to finish him off, which we do get to do. I was keeping my turret pointed forward, by the way, to finish the point, so that I could either turn to shoot the artillery when I was reloaded or be ready for the CNH if he ever came over, and that's what happened. Now there's only one tank left on the enemy team. It's this Leopard PTA. I'm going for the top gun, and just as the shell probably hits him, the I-7 finishes him off. And we finish the game with the victory. 5 kills, 7.5k damage, 383 assistance, the ace tank of the high caliber, 1653 base XP. A really nice game for the 705a, in a pretty good map for it. A really solid tank. I think the whole line's pretty solid these days. I think it's a pretty well balanced line. Can be a lot of fun, can be a lot of pain sometimes as well, depending on the situations you're in. But on the whole, it's a pretty damn decent line. And we had some pretty nice games for it. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success!